However, in the present era, humanity is in a kind of perpetual childhood. Will we look back in time at this era of darkness, this epoch of despondency, and see how the light took a hold, how the capacity for enlightenment grew and delivered us from ignorance? Or will we, if we are still here to witness and reflect, see how the darkness intensified and grew and obliterated humanity and delivered it into despair and denied its potential and killed its magnificent promise? We remain optimistic. In fact, we are loath to expect the worst. It is significant that most of the sane, authentic spiritual teachers have reinforced the optimism, predicting, or at least implying, a positive outcome. The ones who have taken the negative tack have tended to be self-destructive, inauthentic leaders, power-hungry, narcissistic and misdirected. The present condition of the world, and in particular the predicament of humanity, puts a significant responsibility on those of us who have eyes to see and ears to hear. If you are among the 50 million or so people out of 7 billion in the world today who may understand what I'm speaking about here, do you not have a great responsibility and an obligation to awaken? Maturity implies taking responsibility. Of course, usually this responsibility extends only as far as taking care of the material, physical world, providing for yourself and your family, conforming through taking up approved employment, abiding by the laws of the land, and this kind of thing. Today, many women are seeking men who can take responsibility for their feelings, who can inhabit their emotional world, who can demonstrate emotional intelligence, enter into deep intimacy, and step outside of the stereotype of maleness that has plagued our cultural sensibilities for centuries. This is an extension of responsibility, and perhaps the beginning of self-responsibility. It is maturing, however, no further than the subtle realms I spoke of earlier, but merely ascending from the gross to the subtle levels. The causal levels, search for self and the origin of one's life out of conditioning and personal upbringing, the inculcation of the culture, the family, the cultural expectations, conforming and rebelling, are a level further on. Maturity denotes a deeper responsibility, the kind of self-responsibility where a person stops in their life and reaches out for help, with the demanding task of self-discovery, personal illumination, and first stage awakening. All these levels of responsibility denote a deepening maturity, yet they are not that different from conventional development. As we age, we naturally mature, taking care of our assets and planning for our future and the future of our dependents, marginally developing emotionally and in our sense and experience of the energy and psychic realms, and finally learning to increase in self-knowledge, at least to a degree, and perhaps attain some certain contentment, even peace, through self-acceptance, dignity, and composure. But for a human being to embrace the reality and the fullness of the maturing process, she must be prepared to be unapologetically and entirely who she is. She must be uncompromisingly herself. She does this by knowing herself, by embarking and completing the journey of self-discovery, entering into the realms of authenticity, transformation, and heart, living without thought of other, and finally incorporating and practicing lastingly and fully her sadhana, spiritual practice, in conscious preparation for death at any moment. She transcends her fear of death through a deepening awareness that she is not the body alone, but the soul and the spirit, the energy body, the psychic and the causal bodies, and ultimately deepening in the profound truth and knowledge of the I, the wise divine presence that she is, was, and always has been, consciousness, unchanging, deathless, eternal. This is very adult stuff. Mature material, because it necessitates a level of not only responsibility, but of courage and centeredness. No one, no God, no Savior, no parent, no authority above you, no one at all is responsible for you, for your life, for the outcome of your actions, for your successes and failures, for your getting it right, or for your mistakes. There is only consciousness, and you live within this vast and real revelation in constant remembrance of the divine truth. Much less happens, much less arises, less drama, less spectacle, less intrigue and hate, anxiety and travail, because there was and has only ever been one, not two, not three, but one and only one. So you cannot find conflict, you cannot create intrigue and the dynamics of frenzy and pain. This state of self-sourcing blessing, of divinely lit wisdom and blessed compassion, desirable though it is to us all surely to think of it, to describe it, and to fantasize about it, remains unattainable for almost everyone individually and for everyone collectively. The condition of men and women in the modern world is one of conformism and obedience to the pains and the rites of passage in early life. Their loyalty is firmly fixed on their child hearts, the sadness and the tragedy, the vengeance and the injustices of childhood. There is only one way through this, or perhaps two. You must work thoroughly and effectively through your childhood material until you're genuinely ready and willing to put away childish things, to exchange the glass beads and fire water for the golden treasure. Immaturity is the ubiquitous epidemic in our age. It is everywhere, sometimes masquerading as maturity, as age pretends to wisdom, as selfishness to giving, as lies to truth. We live in a topsy-turvy world, a world dominated by mind, when mind is a pretender, a deceiver, and a fantasist. If you live through your mind only, then anything is possible. Yet nothing is necessarily real at all.